Good morning, Doctor. We are from Group 9 and will present our group assignment and interview franchisees and get the information for franchise package. Before that, I will intro my group members are Leong Ji Guan, 271160, Lim Yifei, 271191 is me, Yong Human, 271840, and Wei Ji Xian, 271878. First of all, I talk about the background of the franchisees and the company. We have interviewed a franchisee who is Lai Jikin. He is instructor of Kumon Center Taman Bukit Mewah Kajang. He began his business by taking over a Kumon Center after returning from Australia. This center was already a franchise. The center previous franchisees wanted to sell it and relocated to Australia. As a result, Mr. Lai decided to purchase the center. Next, I will talk about the background of the franchisor. The franchisor's name is Toru Kumon, a high school math teacher. Founded Kumon Education in 1954, based on his self-study philosophy to offer education for his son Takashi, who was in the second grade at the time. Toru Kumon wrote down several mathematical calculations for his son on paper. The Kumon method is created in this approach. This first Kumon Center is established in Shinjuku, Tokyo in the 1960s. The Kumon corporations grew dramatically in the 1980s. In Japan, they have over a million students enrolled. At that time, the first Kumon logo was established, then started to develop the project like Kumon Japanese Language Program, Kumon Penmanship Program, and Kumon French and German programs, among others. Kumon restructured the company's management structure in the 2000s. The corporations began cooperating on a study on the impact of learning treatment on Alzheimer's disease. Kumon redesigned their old logo signboards with a new one in 2003, and it is still in using until today. In 2007, the Kumon company began to provide child reading assistant. Kumon began offering its education service to university in the year 2010. Kumon is dedicated to helping students reach their best potential. As a result, learners can learn freely and develop high-level learning capabilities and independent learning capabilities by employing the Kumon method at a young age. Overall, the abilities that students gain through Kumon are extremely beneficial in assisting them in achieving their goals and realizing their aspirations.
Good morning to Doctor. My name is Yong Human and matric number 271840. I will present the franchise trademark and copyrighted materials. A franchise business is a business which the franchisor of brand allowed the franchisee the right to use their brand name and logo under the franchise business agreement. The existing of the franchise trademark and copyrights are important to protect the intellectual properties in a franchise business. The trademark and copyrighted materials are both the most common example of intellectual property. For the copyrighted materials, Mr. Lai said that there is the only copyright material that have is the Kumon worksheet. Until now, the copyright material that they have are the mathematics and English worksheets. The worksheets can only be used by the student who register under Kumon. The worksheets are not allowed to be copied or to be sold outside, and they have a very serious restriction on the use of those worksheets as copyright materials. Next, for the territorial rights. Territorial rights refer to the area in which franchisees are permitted to create and run a franchise business. During the interview section with Mr. Lai, he pointed out that there is no territorial right there is no territorial right mentioned in the franchise agreement of Kumon Education Malaysia. Mr. Lai do emphasize that even territorial right is not stated in Kumon franchise agreement, it is a must for the franchisee to follow the Franchise Acts. This does not mean that the franchisees can do anything they like. Mr. Lai said that, however, in Kumon, Japan, for example, if you go to Japan where Kumon is from, you may find Kumon is like 7-Eleven, as there are many 7-Eleven all close to each other. Therefore, Kumon centers are similar like that in Japan. Mr. Lai also do not think that they have any territorial right, but in Malaysia, they have the protection of the Franchise Acts. Next, ongoing service. The most general ongoing service may include the provision of general business advice and field assistance, for example, regular training, meeting, and monitoring on franchisee standard and performance. Mr. Lai said that Kumon is very responsive to instructor needs and requests. Moreover, so far, they had Kumon management in Malaysia who are very responsive to their needs, issues, and problems. They also try a lot of help. Mr. Lai think most instructors are quite satisfied. In Kumon, regular training and meeting are conducted also in order to help franchisees in solving their problems and updating with them the information or new ideas about the business. In addition, regarding to the question asking about the monitoring process, it's like the franchisor often monitoring your franchise Kumon center. Mr. Lai said that of course they have the monitoring process. As a franchisor, you need to make sure that the franchisee is doing the right thing. Thus, they have to submit a monthly report on the number of students and the progress of their students. Furthermore, once in a while, they will go to the center to have a look what we are doing. They do have the field development manager checking in on the centers from time to time, maybe every other month and a few times a year to see whether things are alright. That's all for my part. Thank you.
Site selection is important for a franchise owner as the location will determine the success of a business. When we talk about site selection, Mr. Lai has two choices, either to open own center or to take over from another center. At the end, he made a decision to take over from the previous franchisee. He made this decision is because it is an easier step for him to take over an existing center as he don't need to spend time and can run quickly the Kumon center. Although Mr. Lai take over the Kumon Central from a previous franchisee, yet the franchisor of Kumon will provide suggestions for the potential franchisee in the site selections. The franchisor will suggest many area or location where there are many population but don't have enough Kumon Central, or there are many students at the area but don't have any Kumon Central yet. Besides, the franchisee can also suggest some potential area or location to the franchisor. Once they identify the area, they will present to the franchisor. After that, the franchisor will identify the area based on demographic, potential growth, and other related factors to see whether it is able or suitable to set up the center there. The franchisor will either approve or disapprove the location. The size of the Kumon center has no limit. It depends how many students they can handle and how big they can build their center. The only limit is time limit, meaning that the tutorial time is being arranged and they will let the student to choose which time they want to come for the learning. The Kumon Center of Mr. Lai has more than 100 students with different age, religion, and race. Next, about the rental fee. Currently, Mr. Lai need to pay 650 ringgit per month for his rental fee. He mentioned that the rental fee of all Kumon Centrals are different depending on the location they choose. They are not rent from the Kumon, but from the landlord. So if the area, if they rent the Kumon Center in city areas such as Penang, the rental fee will be expensive. But if other place such as Kedah or Pahang, the rental fee will be cheaper. Let's move to the training part. All the franchisee of Kumon will be provided a series of training sections on how the Kumon Center work, how to instruct the student, how to use the learning material and other necessary training. And our training is continuous. The franchisor will provide a series of seminar throughout the year for them, and the franchisee, also the instructor, will learn from each other, not just instructor in Malaysia, but also instructor from other countries such as Australia. On the other hand, the term in the selection of instructor is used to only refer the license holder of the franchisee. So basically, there is only one instructor in each center. So Mr. Lai is the instructor of the Kumon Central, and the others are assistant. The minimum qualifications to become an assistant in Kumon Center is SPM level, but they prefer looking for for assistant who can get along well with the children as long as parents and comfortable with English and maths. Besides, although Kumon Center does not provide special training for the instructor, but they provide special training for the assistant. The special training for assistant is the way of managing the class, as this is an education's franchise, so they need an assistant who can handle student and be able to guide the student in the class. Apart from that, Mr. Lai said that it wasn't easy for him during the grand opening as he take over this center from the previous instructor. He needs to deal with some difficult students. However, he got an assistant from the franchisor. They came to his center and give suggestions and help him out in the center for a couple of weeks to ensure that he can operate well after their leave. Lastly, Mr. Lai said that they received positive and negative comment after the post-opening. The negative comment is about the dissatisfactions of the change of instructor, and the parents do not understand the learning method of Kumon. When Mr. Lai tried to institute more learning method, the parents were not so happy. What Mr. Lai teach did not meet parent expectations. So he said they are bound with something when doing business. So to reduce this problem, they need to choose the right customer. Mr. Lai said, although there are some students left his center, but at the same time, he also got new students who can enroll with him. Things will settle and become better. That's all from me.
Then I will talk the marketing aids. Mr. Lai stated that the franchisor pay for all advertising including online, printing, and even TV and radio ads. The franchisor will also supply the franchisee with free vouchers and flyers to help them promote their company. Mr. Lai said that has done a pretty job of advertising their brands. They advertise on Facebook, YouTube, a variety of websites, billboard, newspaper, televisions, and radio. They can publish such as their own flyer, promote and hang banner or poster outside shopping centers or schools. They can also promote their center by email or WhatsApp targeted customer. If franchisees want to print flyers or others with the Kumon logo to promote their franchise, they must first obtain permissions from Kumon Education Malaysia.
Hi, my name is Ejisian and my matric number is 271S08. Now I'm going to present the product supply arrangement of Kumon franchise. Product supply arrangement for franchises are typically established by franchisor, and the franchisee generally have little influence over franchise network supply arrangements. In fact, even if a franchisee finds a better deal on the supply of goods or services, the franchisee must follow the supply arrangements and is prohibited from violating the arrangements. As a matter of course, Kumon franchisor has established their own fixed supply chain arrangement among the franchisees. Franchisor will supply a sufficient number of tables, stools, cabinets, shelves, and chairs from designated suppliers to franchisees that initially operate their Kumon Central. However, Kumon Central in Kajang was taken over by Mr. Lai, where the furniture required is already completed, and he does not need to make any additional supplement orders from the franchisors. Furthermore, Mr. Lai stated that all the study materials including mats and English table sheets are supplied by Kumon franchisor. They are not permitted to self-print those study materials because it is violated Kumon's copyright. Nonetheless, the materials are all free and franchisees are only required to pay for the royalty fee. Mr. Lai is pleased with the franchisor supply chains and believes that Kumon is very effective in managing the supply chain system. He gave an example of Kumon efficiency in dealing with supply chain issue. The Kumon supply chain was destroyed during the COVID-19 pandemic, which at the same time many other businesses were also forced to close in March 2020. Kumon is having a very difficulty getting their materials printed and distributed to all the franchises. During the lockdown, no Kumon Central are also permitted to open. As a result, Kumon reacted quickly by developing an app that contains all the study materials, and the apps deliver online study materials to all Kumon users as a regular basis to help instructors follow up on their progress. Next, I'm going to talk about the personnel and accounting procedure used by Kumon. Personnel and accounting procedure are critical for franchise owner to adopt systematic procedures and training for recruitment, staff training, motivation, administration, and also a specific accounting system for the franchisor. These procedures can assist franchisors in investing and ensuring franchisees run their franchise business properly in order to maintain their brand image. According to Mr. Lai, Kumon has only provided 2 to 3 times procedure and training on human resource management in the last 20 years. Kumon is most focused on providing training on their Kumon method of learning, and they have monthly or weekly meeting with franchisees to share their latest teaching method and materials. Apart from that, Kumon also offers a variety of training sessions, and all the franchisees will come to receive training seminars throughout the years. The instructor of Kumon Central will learn from one another, not just from other instructors in Malaysia, but also instructors from all over the world. They wanted to ensure that every Kumon Central could provide great and high quality teaching method to their customer. On the other hand, Kumon does not provide any financial or accounting training to franchisees. Franchisees can use their own accounting method to manage their finances or even hire an accountant to manage their Kumon Central's account system. This gives franchisees a more freedom to manage their accounting system and resulting in less stress and also higher motivation. That's all from us about the Kumon franchise packages. So thank you.